Hey there, Chad here. Thanks for joining me. Let's play some NewsTower. Now, this is my kind of combo Let's Play and tutorial of the game, and this is the third episode. We just completed the first week and finished the first game loop, and we're starting in the second week. And we're just going to go from here and kind of have some fun, see what comes up and what troubles we run into in the game. So I'm going to unpause it. And it looks like a story is about to hit here. His circle is about full, and there it is. Boom. And we'll pause and click on the globe. And this is a story in the center of the country, horse virus outbreak. Looks like Kansas City. I thought I saw that pop up somewhere there. Okay, well, we don't have a reporter available to do either of these stories just yet, so maybe now is the time to go ahead and hire another reporter. I think we'll go ahead and do that. Let's see if we can find a society or a sports reporter. And look at that. The people we had hired before, these had blanked out. They have now replaced them with some new folks. And we have Robert, who has a big bladder. He doesn't have to use the bathroom as much. We have Charlotte, who is just cheap, no strings attached. So the normal value for a reporter down here was $45 when they had no skills at all. And Charlotte is even cheaper than that at $34. That's great. And then we have Odette, who doesn't mind smell and no points. So none of these reporters have any points in anything. So really the only thing to look at is what they can cover. Well, we were looking at, I think on that story, it was society or sports. So let's go ahead and hire Charlotte, save a little money. Why not? There we go. We have hired Charlotte. We can fire reporters and, well, any employee for that matter, if it's necessary, and that's something to consider. But right now I don't want to do that. But if we needed to, we would click here, and there's a couple of ways to get to it. You can click on salary, and you can click the fire employee button. You can also adjust their salary. I don't know that this is deeply implemented just yet. I've never had to adjust a salary for somebody. I've never had anybody quit. So that's something to consider. I suppose if I needed to save money and I dropped their money way down, they may change their mind, and that's fine. But we'll leave Charlotte. She was at 34, and now it's got her at 33. I'm not thrilled that I did that, but okay. We'll take it, and we will keep her. And there we have it. So let's assign her to that story. And then the other thing I do want to make sure we do is, okay, so step back a second, Chad. So we want to have a sports story, but we already have one in the works. So this would be helpful, but not necessary. But that means we're going to have a tag for sports already. And it's better to match tags if you can. It's better to, well, I prefer to do maximum number of tags, but since both of these are just one-offs, we're going to go ahead and grab the sports part because I know I'll match at least one other tag right now. There we go. Charlotte is on her way. Now, we'll unpause and we'll go at normal speed for a minute. I want to go ahead and hire the resupply desk person. Got a couple of options. Curtis, he's cheaper, but he's a snail. He's a slow walker. Well, his job is walking, so we're not going to hire Curtis. If he was going to be our cleaner, maybe, because he doesn't have too far to go. His desk is literally behind this right here, and the bathrooms are here, and that's really his only responsibility. So let's go with Evelyn. She's normally priced. We could go with this guy too, Randy. He is a coffee connoisseur. He works 50% faster for 2 days after drinking coffee. We don't control when he drinks coffee, and we don't even have access to coffee just yet. So we're going to skip him. He doesn't have any points. We're going to skip him. And I'm going to hire Evelyn for this position, and there we have it. Evelyn is now on our staff. And, whoops, and we should, okay, we should see her joining us soon. This is a breaking news story, and these are kind of interesting. When these come out, they will give us multiple stories of the same type. It looks like in this case it's going to be economy. And those stories, if we are able to complete them, will lead to a bonus called, these are hot topics. I think it's hot topics. And we will get extra readers for printing those tags in that particular week. So we do want to pursue these when they come up. Let's take a look. Usually there's at least two, so they have these bolts coming out of them. Usually there's at least 2 stories that need to be done inside of it, and that's the case here. We have to complete both of these. One of the things that's a little different on them is because it's breaking news, we don't have a lot of time to get reporters to the scenes. So we're going to want to go ahead and drop 1 reporter here. The story is 1 day for both, so that's for each, 1 day for each story, so that's fine. But Lucille will not be able to do this one and then get over here and do this because the story will leave the wire before then. So we have a couple of options. We can see how long Charlotte is going to be, about 3 more hours plus an hour or 2 to turn in her report. She'll have 18 hours yet. We'll have plenty of time to get her assigned to the story. As long as she has started the story, she'll complete it. This doesn't matter except for assigning somebody. So we're going to hold down tab. And now she's preparing her story to turn in. And it's taking her longer than I thought it would. There it is, 6 hours. I kind of wanted that to be a little faster, honestly. I thought it was going to be closer to 16 hours. But we will drop her here. Charlotte will get busy on that story. And then once we're done, we will see this tag print. And you'll notice what it says is earn double sales on every printed economy tag. That'll be true for this particular week. Now we did get the alert sound that there are more stories sitting out there. So we're going to click here on the map. And this one has crime, which is good because we wouldn't mind a crime story this week. So let's see. We don't have a crime reporter available. 5 hours remaining. It is only Wednesday. We should have time to complete this. This is a choice, so we only have to do one or the other. I would like to do the crime story. We only have 1 crime reporter right now, and that is Lucille. So we could wait on Lucille, or we could look at hiring another reporter. That's not the worst idea. 4 reporters is pretty good. It gives us the potential of having 2 reporters in each category. Things have to line up just right for that to happen, but we can see if we can make it happen. So we're going to go to hiring. We're going to look at reporters. Now we can see our current reporters by going to staff. And this is everybody who works here. We can just click on reporter and it'll limit it to the reporters we have. And it's pretty easy to see. We have 2 society reporters, 2 sports reporters, 2 economy reporters. We only have 1 politics, 1 crime, and 1 entertainment. So ideally, we would hire somebody that has entertainment, crime, and politics. Usually that doesn't just kind of happen out there. Oh, and look at that. As soon as I say it, crime, entertainment, politics. So we're going to hire Robert because he gives us the additional 3 stories that we only had coverage of 1 reporter on. So we'll go with him. Hope I said that right. Robert fills the 3 stories that we only have 1 person available to report on. And so we'll put him in here. Actually, I'm glad I didn't drop him yet because I'm looking at this. Odette is identical. She's a little cheaper. She's smell tolerant. That's not terribly important. Big bladder might actually be a little bit better idea here. I think I am going to go ahead and go with Robert. Yeah, I think I will, and we'll hope that that bladder thing is worth the extra $6, $7 per week. There we go. Robert is now hired. Let's go back to the Globe. Let's go back to this story. We already have those assigned. I'm sorry, that's right. It was this one. And we wanted to go with the crime angle because we want to fulfill this tag if possible. So there we go. He's now assigned and he'll start working that story. Great. Now we are up to 5 tags, and if everything goes well, we can only print 3 stories right now. Maybe we should consider going ahead and buying that extra print module, and I think it's a good time to go ahead and do that. We'll be able to do 2 pages or 6 stories, and I like that idea. So we'll go ahead and grab this guy. Costs $1,000 to put in, and it won't let me put him in, and there's actually a simple explanation for that. The acoustic panel is in the way. We're going to have to get rid of the acoustic panel. Go ahead and put it there for now, and hopefully we find a good place for it in the future. That's not the worst place for it. It just isn't terribly helpful because there's another one there already. So we're going to drop this in here, and you'll see a 2 show up in that blank space on it. And there it is. That's the page 2 part of the printer. When we go over here to run our print jobs, we will now have a page 1 and a page 2. You'll notice there's a slightly different configuration, and this second page below the fold story is doubled in value. It is not tripled like the above the fold front page. Every page will have an area that is bonused, and the configuration of the stories is a little different. That's kind of neat to see. It's just different. It doesn't really impact the game. All right. I think that works for now. We'll click here, make sure we've got those stories covered. We do. I feel like there was one other thing I wanted to look at. I never hired a cleaning person, so we're going to want to do that. Here we go. Curtis might make a good cleaning person since we spent a little extra on some other folks, but Charlotte would be good too. She has a point, just like Curtis. She costs twice as much. She's a big eater, which means her nutrition stat decreases more slowly, so her discomfort due to hunger is less. I think, though, for now, let's save the money and go with Curtis. So we're going to drop Curtis right here. And you'll notice by hiring him, we did not lose any money. I should have pointed that out first, but long story short, it was at $520. You can go back, rewind it if you want. Putting him in this slot, we didn't spend any money because we don't pay them until the end of the week. I also want to hire somebody to do repairs. I don't have any really good candidates for that. Nobody has any skills. So I am going to go ahead and roll the dice and see if we get anybody better by clicking this one time. I'm not going to do it more than once. We got great candidates. In fact, we got 4 candidates that are all qualified. Most of them are a little bit more expensive, and you'll notice this guy is a lot more expensive, but he's got a gold task here, trait here, and that is he's a quick study. So he's going to be doing our maintenance work, and he gets experience for it, but while he does it, he gets 50% as much experience in his other categories. That can be really important for somebody like a reporter, where all their skills are going up regularly then. For the maintenance guy, unless we're bouncing him around to other jobs, which we would have to do manually, it isn't as important. But it's not a bad trait, because we may decide we need to fire the cleaner, and he becomes the next, or she, I think that's a lady actually, so she becomes our next cleaner. That would be helpful. I think, though, we're going to end up going with Clarence just out of frugality. He's the cheapest. He doesn't have any traits, but he does have a skill point in everything, so he wouldn't be a horrible choice if we had to swap around. We don't need to, though. We're going to go ahead and hire Clarence. This wouldn't be so bad. Heat tolerant. I mentioned that that's not such a bad thing for somebody who needs to work on the printers now and again. Maybe we should go ahead and do that. He won't get upset quite as much, which means he'll continue to work more, which means things are broken less. Probably not the worst idea. You know, I'm going to go ahead and go for it. If we have to come back and fire him because he's too expensive later, maybe that's not the worst thing, I guess. But there we have it. And as you can see, when we rolled the die, it did not change the number of reporters. It didn't replace these folks. And these probably are the same, although we hadn't looked at them. Let's go ahead and finish out this week. By the way, we picked up that crime story. You'll notice the folder icon is indicating we've got a story in the works. Okay, we're going to hold this down. And a new story came in. So let's go see what that one's about. It looks like an entertainment story. Pretty straightforward entertainment story. Indianapolis High School. Well, we can do up to 6 stories this week. So let's go ahead and send Lucille out. That'll give us 6. There's no reason to stop at 6. Having options isn't a bad thing. You're not paying to send them places generally. If they need a ticket, obviously you do pay for that. But just sending them, the only thing it costs is their time. So not the worst thing to do. Let's go ahead and send it. You'll notice there's 3 other stories that can be researched right now. Our telegraph machine workers, though, are reading the paper. Hopefully it's our paper. And there we go. Oh, okay. So this is that hot topic thing that I mentioned. This means that we finished those stories. It's no longer going to show up here. And I think it was this one. Yep, unemployment rises. Here's where we have 2 lines of tags. And in a pinch, we could hit delete to remove one of them if we really, really needed to. There's no need to do that this time. But I do want to mark these as priority. I want this one to get done before other things because we'll get bonuses for using this tag. Interestingly enough, we have no multi-tag stories this week so far. That's kind of curious. Usually we'll have at least one. Nonetheless, let's see what happens for the rest of the week. Another news story coming in. We hop out there. It's another crime story. Now, we've met this request, so more crime stories doesn't help us with this anymore, but it would be a tag match potentially. So that's something to consider. And this one is a little different. We haven't seen this yet. This one, when we finish the story, we're going to get a bonus item. We'll get a new object. Usually it's an item that gives bonuses to somebody's skills. Doesn't necessarily mean it'll be the reporter. It could be, there's different ones. The typesetter and the assembler get slug trays, for instance. They cost $100 and you put it next to their desk and it gives them a +1 bonus on their skill level. And that is awesome. You can also get things for reporters and for the telegraphers and for, all your workers can get some sort of bonus that increases their skill. Who do we want to assign? Well, the only person available right now is Robert. There's really no reason not to send him because Lucille doesn't have any skill points either, and she's not even available yet. We'll drop him there. When he completes, we'll come back out here, and it'll show us what our new bonus item is. Holding down tab. It'll take about a day for that to happen. Another story came in the meantime. This one is politics, it looks like. 2 flags, that's good. So we have the politics flag and then the defeat flag. Supreme Court decisions and legal matters. So it's not telling us what the story is exactly, but something got defeated is what we know. We will send Elaine because only option right now. Will this story make it? It will probably not make it into this week's paper, but it might be a good one to go ahead and have ready for next week. Also, those neighborhoods we talked about in the previous episode, some of those neighborhoods require these advanced tags. They can require silver tags and they can even require gold tags, I believe. I can't remember specifically if there's any of those out there, but it is a possibility. So let's go ahead and grab that story while we can and see what happens. Now we're getting a few things here from our workers. This is indicating the discomfort. They're in the printer room. I would bet that they're either upset about the noise or about the heat. And we can kind of see it here. I'm feeling uncomfortable. It's very noisy in here. I'm feeling uncomfortable. It's probably because of the noise, kind of to be expected. We'd rather she not hang out in that room any longer than she has to. And one thing we can do, I'm assuming she was there for a reason. She's probably our like our loader, right? Is that what her job is? I'm not even sure. Yeah, she's our resupply person. So she has to come in here to put paper once in a while. Just, it's the nature of the beast. It's part of the job. But if she were like to be hanging out in here and just not doing anything about it, we can actually pick her up and move her somewhere. Literally just drop her. Now she's no longer in that room. She will continue to do her tasks. And if she needs to go back in, she'll go back in. But we can limit her discomforts in some ways by doing that. And then this guy, I would bet this means he needs to use the bathroom. So let's take a look. And his log says, I need to go. Well, the good news is it's just a floor down here, Brett. So Bennett, I'm sorry, it's Bennett. We'll send Bennett down, and if we look at his conditions, so his vision stat is okay. Its current value is 100%. That's good. His overall comfort is 100%. He's getting a little hungry. Status okay, but here his stat is critical, loss of concentration. Well, I blame him. Again, we can drag and drop folks. Micromanaging, I don't normally do this, by the way, but it is entirely possible to drag him down here and drop him and save him the few seconds it would have taken for him to walk that far on his own. And we hit space. He waves to his buddy, and then he's going to go and use the John, and we are in business. We're halfway through Friday. Here we see the typesetter is busy working, and that crime story just popped its thing. And here's our bonus object. We got a crime board. So this one does actually support the reporter, and that's pretty typical too, but it doesn't always work out that way. So if we come in here and look, we now have an additional, this is going to be a production accessory. Maybe that's not it. Reporting accessory. This will be a reporting accessory. It was the crime board. It gives us +1 buff to crime stats. And if we click on it and drag it, we will see places we can place it that are helpful. Now, initially it showed everybody. I think that is a bug. It should only show the folks that can report crime. Initially it showed all the desks, but as I rolled over them, they went away when it didn't apply. So it's not a major bug, but I think it's a bug. We can just drop this right here. If they were next to each other, we could drop it in between the two, and it would count for both of them, which is outstanding. Can't do that this time. They're not in the same area. When we remodel, we will probably try to put some reporters with similar abilities next to each other so that that will work out. And we could buy actually they're only $50, so let's go ahead and buy the second one, and we'll put it right here. It just has to touch these squares anywhere that we can get it to do that, and it will apply. So both of our crime reporters should now have an additional skill point, which is very helpful. Moving on, story coming in, and there it is. And it is a society story out on the coast. Missing child in Portland. It does tell us the city, by the way, when we click here. Popped up Portland. I don't know how you actually see it, though, because it puts it behind this guy, but it's okay. We can see it every once in a while. We need a society story, and then there will be a path to pick, which will include either inspiration, an inspiring story, this is an advanced tag, or a crime story with it being alarming. And again, this is an advanced tag. There are neighborhoods that might need those stories. We will never get this story done this week, but we can get it started and print it next week. And if we find a neighborhood that matches one of these, well, we're just one leg up then, aren't we? So there we go. Here you can see the additional skill point that our crime reporters have from the object that we gave them. Just want to make that kind of clear. And let's have at it. Now we're about a quarter of the way through Saturday. We're about to get the bell. And here it comes, except I was paused. And there's the bell. All right, so today is story printing day. Now, first glance, paused. We appear to have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 6 stories ready right now. That is good. I don't know how long we have on these other stories. This one has 5 hours, so we will have a 7th story ready. This one will not be ready today. 19, well, actually 19 hours, it might be ready. You know what, let's watch this one. I want to see if that 19 hours is for everything or just for its current spot. I think it's for everything, though. This should be the story that's getting worked right now. If we click this desk, I don't want to change his name. Let's see if clicking that, there it is. So he's got 11 hours left to do this story. Is this guy going to be able to do it in 8? It says 7 hours. So maybe that is what that is. 19 more hours until it is complete. This bottom story is the one we just picked up. It is going to be much longer than that, a day and a half at least. So, all right. Well, let's go ahead and kind of see how close we can cut it to the deadline. We can pause the clock when it's the end of the day. It's not a real-time building of the paper thing, so we can take all the time we need for that. That's not something to be concerned about. This one just advanced where we finished the first part of the story and we're ready to assign a second reporter. Let's go ahead and put Lucille on it, and we're going to do the crime side. And I want to do the crime side because it has 2 tags. It's really the main reason. So we'll go with that. Could have gone out and looked at the neighborhoods and saw if there was one that likes inspiring stories that will be attached to us next week, but not ready for that level of concern with it. We'll have plenty of opportunities to fill those out in the coming weeks. Let's go ahead and continue. Now, when I am in this Sunday mode, I do tend to pay very close attention to this. Try to get it very close there, and then we are paused. So that's about as close as I want to get it. It says that it is 11 o'clock at night. We have less than an hour to get our newspaper out. Again, there's no time penalty or anything for doing this. We are paused. We can build the paper out however we like. But at this point, all the stories that are going to get done are done. So we should be able to pick from what we want pretty readily now. And there we go. Interestingly enough, none of our... Oh, this one still needs another hour. Oh, that's... So this is... You know what? There are no additional tag matches here. This is something you normally want to put as many tags as you can in this ×3. And this is the only story with more than one. With that said, I think we don't press our luck on this one today. I think what we're going to do is drop in the hot topic right here. And that should give us, I want to see if that gives us a bonus. So we have 10,000 readers. If we had put in any other story, we would have had 7,500. So the hot topic is giving us 2,500 additional readers. That's great. There we have that. Now we don't have any tags that match this, as you can see. None at all. Not even in the stories we haven't completed. That's kind of interesting. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to drop in the crime stories with this. And we'll drop in that one, and we'll drop in this one. And that second one, because those two match, extra 2,500 readers. Again, more readers is always good. You'll notice that we have one page done. We only have 17,500 readers right now, whereas that very first week, we had like 32,000 on our first paper, and it has to do strictly with the count of tags that we had. So more tags is better, as you can see. On this second page, let's start with, we'll put in sports stories, Yankees contract negotiations. I don't think the order will matter here at all because we only have one tag of each one. And a match that's in the double does not change anything. Actually, it does. Oh, no, it really doesn't. The double is because there's one tag. The match did not change anything. My apologies there. So let's go ahead and, you know what? Sounding Rocket has a new publisher. I am that conceited. We'll be sure to print about that. If I swap any of these around to down here, we should stay at 30,000. I want to confirm that. Yeah, so matching tags with the bonus item does not give you additional points. Just want to be clear on that. So we're only going to make $1,200 this week. We're only going to, we are not doing well in money so far. We need to kind of step it up some. We have no control over the stories that come in, so you know, not a whole lot we can do. We have some control over the stories we choose and that we choose to pursue, but what is offered to us, we've taken everything offered to us so far. That's not on us. Nothing we can do about that. I think we're ready to run. We've got 2 pages of paper. I've got it organized as best I can. We don't have any additional matches that we would be able to do. We don't have any more of the hot topics, unfortunately. We kind of got screwed here a little bit, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and run our paper and let's see what happens. As I mentioned, the game feels a little harder than it used to. I used to feel like I was constantly getting multiple matches and 2 or 3 tags on every story, and I'm just not seeing that in the newer releases. Or updates, I guess, in the newer updates. So we're going to let the paper go. There's that bell, and it starts spinning, and you'll notice this time it runs through both of those modules. It's kind of cool. And there we have it. Unemployment. Guess there will always be some crime to read about. Yes, sports do not build character, they reveal it. Okay? Not a most copies sales record. We didn't set a record for number of copies sold. We only sold 30,000. So we can do better. There we go. But we did, and we'll see this on the next page, we did meet both of those. So we completed it, and we got 2 influence points because of that. So that is great. By the way, this page, it went back, not, it went forward, not back. Let's let that finish. We'd hired some new folk. Did we? Yeah, we hired new folks. We increased salaries by 64%. That's actually a lot. We did hire a new reporter, maintenance guy, cleaner, and the other one, resupply desk. So I guess that makes sense. We hired a lot of people. Let's go back real quick. I want to point this out. This shows us the overview of everything that we're going to see on the next pages. I want to be clear about that. So we earned 2 influence points, and it showed us how we earned those influence points here. So yeah, this wasn't 2 on top of what we saw here. So we now have 2 influence points. This is what we sold for. We did not have a hidden agenda. We don't have ads yet, so none of this is surprising. And we will go to here, and we'll leave the recap, which is going to take us to the map. So as you can see, we now have 2 guys with crowns on, which means that I think what that's supposed to mean is they're subscribers. In fact, if you look here, we have 2,000 subscribers. And 2 guys, 2,000. So I think that's where that lines up. We are very cash poor right now. I would like to I'd like to avoid taking out a loan if possible. So we have a couple of other decisions to make. So first of all, you'll notice there's a 3rd icon here this time, and it's this one. This is what allows us to pick a hidden agenda. Now, I talked about the magic buildings before. We have the Mafia, the Empire State Building, which is the mayor, and then the theater, which is high society. These are our hidden agendas that we can select from. We don't always get one. Usually get one, particularly if you meet one the week before, you'll almost always get offered another one. Let's click on the Mafia hat and see what they want us to do. Pretty straightforward request. Print no politics this week, and if we do what they say, they'll give us $500 and 4 influence points. We currently have no credibility with them. We have 0 stars. I'm not quite sure what the stars do for us. We can have 3 stars, and if you don't do what they ask, they'll send mobsters and break up your stuff. So I don't know what the point of that is exactly. There's probably something to it, but I haven't figured it out yet. The good news here is if we fail this mission, they don't send mobsters. If they were going to send mobsters, I think there's something they put in here. And when you float over things, it will tell you what they mean. So it's not exactly hidden, and it becomes pretty obvious when they're going to do that. He tells us something. He'll always have something to say to us. We're going to go ahead and accept this, even though we already have a politics story out there, kind of working. In fact, that might be the really good one with the extra tags in that. And if that's the case, probably not going to end up doing this. We're going to probably need that story to sell copies. And the copies we sell will be worth more than $500, hopefully. So we could use the influence. That isn't a bad thing, but today we need to sell papers. So we'll accept this even though we may not actually do it. And that gives us a checkbox here. And then we need to select a neighborhood to move into. Different ways to go. I kind of like to consider what I've got ready to go or near ready to go and make decisions that way. They want a crime story, and we've got one in the works. They also want tragedy. Tragedy comes up pretty regularly, actually, so that wouldn't be an impossible one to get. Just go ahead and look at some of these others. There's 4 things they want. We don't have any of them yet. Here's a silver level. Like I said, some of these will be a little more advanced. We can't fulfill any of these right now. These are all advanced tags, so we're going to hold off on that one for now. We could go back here, which we already had access to once. We do have a politics story ready, but we might avoid it, so not going to go with that one. And then this will be the other 2 that story types, society and entertainment. And hey, look at that. We could fulfill both of those this time, so that might be the way to go. Now, we don't see those tags list. Actually, this one is rotating, isn't it? Yeah. So we do see that tag there. This might be the best way to go. It does not lead me to anything that I'm immediately wanting to get to, though, with the exception of maybe the firehouse. The firehouse gives us a bigger light. It costs 2, but it's brighter than 2, so that's good. It gives us the big fan, which helps a lot with temperature and smell. Very good. It also gives us a couple of other items, including the obituary desk. So I'd mentioned there's some new desks. This is one of them. This generates content over time for obituaries, and it employs somebody who can work society. So it might be a reporter that we hire in for that. I'm not quite sure yet. I haven't worked with it. We'll know soon enough. I think I'm going to go down here because I want to get to these print modules. It's not that I'm going to grab one yet. I want to have the ability to grab one when I'm ready. So I want to kind of build this way, I think. I don't have nearly enough influence. We have to get to 16 influence to be able to get the next printer, I think. Yeah, 16 is the minimum. So, you know, not ready for it, but once we can and want to, I don't want to have to start digging to get to this spot at that point. So we'll go ahead and go with this neighborhood. Also, we do meet at least one of them, so we will advance, assuming we print that story. Gonna go with that. And with that, we've advanced to March of 1930. So that is going to do it for this episode. In the next, we will play through March and see what happens. I want to thank you for your time. And until next time, fair travels.